Hello and welcome to a managerial special from the Honest Foot Podcast. I'm Craig Savage and with me as always is Mr. Daniel Cody. Today we are talking about we were going to talk about trio events, but there's no point talking about trio events because we missed the first 2/3 of it. We're going to talk about Sunderland. They have appointed Tony Mowbray as their new manager on a 2-year deal. Mowbray replaces Alex Neil, who moved on to Stoke City, who approached him, shades of 2019 with Luton Town and Nathan Jones. So Alex Neil's gone and Tony Mowbray takes charge. First of all, Alex Neil going, was that a surprise?
Yes, definitely a surprise. I mean, none of us saw it coming. And I think when it was first mentioned, most people sort of said, well, that's not going to happen. That seems bizarre because, look, and I want to be careful because Stoke and Sunderland fans are going to have very clear feelings on this. But Sunderland is a huge club. And I know they've been in League One for 4 or 5 years and just come back up, but they are a massive club. They had momentum. The fans adored Alex Neil for coming in and being the man to save them from League One. And the timing just seems bizarre. As you mentioned, we've seen this exact thing with Stoke before. We know exactly how it feels. And the one thing I do want to say on that front is that it's become very clear over recent times, and even Stoke fans I've chatted with have said the same, that Stoke are getting a bit of a reputation for the way they deal with these now, which is not becoming a good thing for them. We knew Michael O'Neill was going to go. It was just a matter of time. In fact, you said it in the prediction before he got sacked. And I'm just very surprised that Alex Neil was the man they went to and that Alex Neil agreed to go. We understand now that it's closer to where his family were based. We understand that he's obviously going to be getting more money and he's clearly got a view that he's going to get what he wants more at Stoke. But for Sunderland, and it has been mentioned in the statement, which I know you'll get to, they are focusing on their principles and working in a certain way where, as we're recording this, signings are flying into Sunderland Football Club. And to be honest, I think they've got probably one of the best possible replacements that was available at the time. Certainly one of the most steady and stable.
Yeah, they've gone for someone that's got a lot of experience. Proven experience. Obviously, he's got 800 professional games during a 20-year coaching career. It's obviously at Blackburn for 5 years. Obviously, got him from Blackburn in League One in 8th. Now, obviously, in the Championship, finished about mid-table. You say it's a solid appointment for Sunderland, but do you think it's the right appointment for Sunderland?
I think it is the right appointment for this moment in time because it's actually I know it's a year later in the process, but it's actually a very similar situation to what he joined Blackburn in because they were on their way down out of the Championship. He took them up from League One and then he stabilised them in League One and in the Championship, and that's what Sunderland need to do now. I know they're a huge club and obviously fan base wise, they could probably compete with the best in the league quite easily. But for now, they need to have a solid season in the Championship, avoid what happened to someone like Charlton a few years ago. They won that playoff final against Sunderland, came up, thought they were clear when they were 10 points ahead and got relegated. So we've got to have a bit of stability at Sunderland. And I think that's a really good appointment to ensure that. Tony Mowbray sides, I know you're not a massive fan of it, but they do try and play football a lot of the time. And generally speaking, his sides traditionally have scored goals wherever he's been. He's got loads of Championship experience. He's done a good job in most Championship clubs. Never had less than a 35% win rate. I mean, it's a pretty impressive appointment for me. He's got a Championship promotion on his CV with West Brom as well. So later down the line, you never know. And I always think he was sort of undervalued for the job he did at Blackburn. And I felt like they wanted more than they could get because he had a very young side, one of the youngest average ages in the division. They played good stuff. They were right in the playoff mix, but they never had that experience to see them over the line. But to take them from League One to competing for the playoffs, Sunderland fans would take that in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I think I have to agree on that. Where Sunderland needs stability, obviously 5 years in the in League One is not ideal, but could there have been a younger coach? They've tried different styles of coaches, obviously trying to get out of League One. They got one with pretty much the best experience that's available. So Tony will inherit a Sunderland side currently 14th in the Championship as the time recording. Obviously it's Wednesday before they play their game tonight. Not a bad start for Sunderland. It's probably what you expected from a promoted side.
Yeah, I'd argue it might have even been slightly better. The question mark, we mentioned it in the predictions a couple of times, was would Ross Stewart step up and score big goals in a Championship? It certainly looks like he's going to. Ellis Sims has been a great addition. And those sides at the bottom generally are the ones that don't have goals in their team. You saw it with Barnsley last year, couldn't score for love nor money. Derby were struggling to win by more than one. I know they had points deductions, and Reading similar when their strikers were out. So I don't think there's a worry with Sunderland because they've got goal scorers. They have had a few erratic defensive displays. I thought actually under caretaker management, they were really good against Norwich. They probably deserved something out of the game, maybe even more than a point. They ended up with nothing, of course. The amount of times they had the woodwork or had balls cleared off the line or great Tim Krul saves. I don't think there's any worry about Sunderland this year. I really don't think they're going to be in danger at all. It's a big spell of games because you've got Rotherham at home tonight, a side that I know we get criticism for it, but we expect to be in that mix still despite their start. They've then got the big North East derby at Middlesbrough next Monday. They've then got Millwall at home, Reading away. It's a spell of games where you can pick up points at the moment. Potentially Mowbray can get off to a flyer. I'll be interested to see the atmosphere tonight, the new manager bounce. Will it be in full flow?
Well, there's no real bounce, isn't it? It's just carry on as you were.
Well, exactly. But the thing we've got to mention with Sunderland as well, and I'm sure you'll get onto it in a moment, the news from last night is expecting 6 new signings in the next 2 days. We've seen a youngster coming on loan from PSG this morning. There's more to follow, a mix of names. And I think Sunderland are going to be very busy and have a few to bed in. So whether that has an impact or not, I don't know. And obviously, Tony Mowbray is a bit of a Middlesbrough legend. So going there on Monday is going to be interesting. But I don't think Sunderland are in any danger. I think you mentioned it, have they appointed the best manager? That's to be told. You could obviously find a young manager who could do something brilliant. But I think they've got stability, and I'm 100% confident they stay up with Mowbray in charge. And that is all Sunderland fans need this year, no matter what the later ambitions are.
I think the question I have to ask is, you said it halfway, they could be getting 6 signings. So why couldn't Alex Neil get 6 signings?
Well, potentially he probably was going to get 6 signings because I doubt Mowbray's going to come in and say, I want all of these men. I think what's probably happened is Alex Neil's not getting the players he wants. And look, Sunderland is one of those clubs that works with lots of football people behind the scenes doing technical director roles and deals like that. And the manager doesn't get a huge say in transfers. Now, Tony Mowbray's used to that a little bit. He didn't have all the say at Blackburn, and he's had other clubs where he's definitely experienced that. And Alex Neil probably wasn't as comfortable with it. The same reason as you wouldn't see a Sean Dyche going to Sunderland, because he wouldn't be happy with that. So I don't think it's a case that there weren't going to be signings under Alex Neil. And I think the signings they had made so far were actually pretty good, by the way. But I just think that they're not the signings he wanted, or that he wanted more say and more backing in the transfer window, rather than seeing youngsters coming in on loan and different types of players. Because Sunderland do seem to be moving towards that sort of, I guess it's the Brentford transfer model, isn't it? The money ball, the statistical data. And look, largely it's worked for them. So I just think that it wasn't the right signings for Neil. And I think this could work out for everyone in the end, despite the initial frustration.
Overall, do you think Mowbray's start would be like a Latifi, a slow start, or do you think it'd be more like a Verstappen and a fast start?
Thank you for the F1 thing question. I understand your reasonings for that entirely. I think Mowbray will start solidly. I think they'll win tonight against Rotherham with the bounce in the stadium. I think it's going to be a really good atmosphere. And look, it's the first time Rotherham are going to an atmosphere like that this season. QPR could have been, but it ended up being quite a quiet, calm game. It'd be interesting to see if they can silence the crowd. I think he's going to start well. I think Sunderland will be fine. Don't expect miracles. They're not going to win the league, but they're going to be comfortable this season. There's going to be a lot of new players into the club. And I think it's good appointments for both teams. And I know Sunderland fans won't want to hear that on the Alex Neil front, but I think that's a good appointment for Stoke. I think this is a good appointment for Sunderland's. I think overall, it's good for the Championship. And as neutral fans of these two, being a Luton fan, I think that's great.
Stoke, I think it's not run well since they went down to the Championship. I don't ever agree with what they've done. I think the way they approach their managers, I feel, is a bit wrong as well.
Well, we saw it with Rowett and Jones before, didn't we?
Yeah. So I'm not particularly impressed by them. Sunderland, I like Sunderland. Obviously, watching the documentaries on them, you feel a bit sorry for them in a way, but the fans are fantastic. And
yeah. It's one of the best away days in the Championship by a mile.
It's too high up, unfortunately, for an away day. No, I mean, as in to watch. It's go back to the old away end, please. No, honestly, I think they're great. I think it'll kick up some fans. I've not done anything wrong, but it'll give them that little spur. Obviously, tonight, first game under the new manager. I said Sunderland will be in the pretty much in the top 10, top 8. I said I'm not sure that will happen now under Tony Mowbray. I really don't.
So where do you put them now?
Oh, they'll be fine. They'll be mid 12th to 14th, and the crowd gets up. I said this at the time. The crowd will get through it. The crowd will get through it. So we're gonna have to wait to the 4th of March for Alex Neil's return to Sunderland, and where Nathan Jones didn't get the opportunity to go back to Luton, Alex Neil will go back, have an opportunity to go back to Sunderland, and the atmosphere is going to be hostile. Say you have the excuse of our family and that stuff, but at the end of the day, all Sunderland fans think about it, he sold out.
Isn't it? It's money.
It's money. But that is the appointment of Tony Mowbray as Sunderland manager. Let us know in the comments how you think he will get on in charge. Do you think he'll last the 2 years in charge? We'll have to wait and see. I think he will. Cody, you think he will?
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Honest Football Podcast, and you can follow us on Twitter at Honest Football Free. And we'll see you next time.